Hey everyone, my name is Taps, and on Friday we had a 2.5 hour long AMA with the Ecomi and Veve team where they went through all of the questions and dropped some serious gems, updates, and timelines that you do not want to miss. They were so impactful that I actually streamed it for the initial 2.5 hours, and then the next day went back and listened again for another 2.5 hours to dissect and pick out 25 gems out of the 50 or so questions, bring back to you a condensed version and what they all mean. 24 of the 25 were positive and 1 was not. In this video, I'm going to explain these huge updates, timelines, and why it's time to celebrate. As always, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the community, feel free to subscribe. I'm a crypto, stock, and real estate investor, but never a financial advisor. Okay, so first of all, let's address why we're celebrating. I've got all of my notes, front and back, and the first thing they said was 300,000 new users in Veve in the past few weeks, thanks to the Disney Plus partnership being announced, and they're still gaining anywhere between 20 to 30K new users per day. And Dan confirmed that we just actually hit over 1 million active monthly Veve users. That is insane. I mean, when you look back to the times, it's actually an article back from March of earlier this year, it showed incredible growth where Veve was originally only around 5,000 users right around the end of February. And we were ecstatic that in a couple months, it shot up to 60,000 plus users. I remember how excited we all were. And guess what? They were hoping at the end of 2021 to be anywhere between 60,000 to 100,000 users. And we were able to hit 1 million active monthly users in 1 year on the app. Do you understand how substantial that is, not just for an app, a newer app that has only been out for 1 year, but in the crypto space? Look at Sandbox. Sandbox has absolutely shot up and it is one of the main metaverse plays that has been around for quite some time, and it only has 30,000 monthly active users. I found a figure a while back that said Decentraland had something around 50,000, and I found this Reddit thread that says somewhere around tens of thousands of active monthly users. And so that's what we're comparing to. These are the major crypto metaverse plays, and we have 1 million users. Even when you look at one of the most used decentralized exchanges in the world, MetaMask gets 10 million active users. And Veve is a tenth of that with collectibles. What do you think happens when we actually are brought to light as a metaverse play? They reverse engineered it. They're all trying to get people to attract into the app, whereas we have everyone who is ready once we go into that space. The next update was if you did actually secure the secret rare Ride the Lightning board from the Decon drop, I hate you, I'm extremely jealous. But there was a double minting that caused a bunch to actually show they had a pending order and then not receive one. So what's happening is those people will receive the board, but it is going to be a new board with the same rarity, the same number of mints, and it will actually be the 5th board of that set. The next piece is Veve has acknowledged that they have grown immensely and they need to scale efficiently, which the drop system is not efficient for how they continue to build. So they will be revamping it. And they'll be doing this waiting room style kind of drop, which is more efficient. It substantially decreases the delivery time to receive your collectibles. So that issue of waiting for the marketplace to open or you not having the marketplace open by the time you receive your drop will be gone. And they even clarified if it's a drop where you're going for maybe like a secret rare versus an ultra rare, there is different waiting rooms per drop unless it's blind box format in which everyone will be in the same waiting room. This style has been seen with other drops. I have Yeezy up. When an app just has such a flow where there are tons of users in it and it sells out instantly, it crashes the app, it creates issues, which we've seen. And the waiting room setup does help fix this problem. So Veve realizes they're only going to continue to scale, only going to continue to have new users as more IP comes in, and they're going forward with this waiting room style drop system come end of year or beginning in January. The only downside is no, we're losing our green truck, RIP green truck. But again, you won't have to worry about, oh, well, I didn't get my collectible. Did I get a secret? Did I get an ultra? I don't know. I'm waiting for a marketplace. This is good, but we'll miss you green truck. They also touched on the Veve Master Collector Program version 0.2. The biggest updates here is that they did increase the secret rare points as well as gave a little bit more weight to the comics. They also increased the low mint bonus that you did receive from 150 and below all the way up to 300 and below, and introduced a whole lot more around the drop raffle, which is very exciting. And we're going to see a whole lot of strategy come into how people are going to be using their Master Collector points that they've been accumulating since the beginning, and which drops they actually want to use this raffle system on, which there are no limitations on how many raffle tickets you want to go. So the next piece is MTL, that money transfer license, right? The ability to cash out those gems into fiat, which in my AMA with Reese that we did live at Decon, he did say that we'll be able to cash out into roughly around 20 or so different currencies. So it's not just USD. But in this recent AMA, they did confirm that the first tier of people who are going to be able to cash out is coming this week. So MTL is happening, and then they'll start introducing it to more people by like 20 more, 50 more, until everyone can then cash out. Some people think this will create a sell-off in the market. Some people think this will attract more users that will balance that out. Let me know your thoughts, because this is actually a pretty tough one to try and figure out. I like that they're doing a tiered approach. Now, everything is very bullish, again, long term, but there was one update out of the other 50 or so that was not positive, and that was on the Immutable X migration. And there's some inconsistencies here, which I hope they can kind of provide some clarification on. And I wouldn't get too hung up on this and go crazy with pitchforks, but roughly about a month ago, we were told that we were already in phase 2 of the migration, which is the reminting of all the NFTs on Immutable X. And then a couple weeks ago, we were told that we were nearing the end of phase 2 and about to enter phase 3, which is, of course, migrating the OMI tokens from GoChain to Immutable X. And in this AMA, they said that we were just about entering into phase 2 and there were some hiccups, but that does have inconsistency to it. So I am really curious about this. Now, if you're a short-term trader and looking to sell your positions in the next couple weeks, this is bad news for you. If you're a long-term holder, that is more time for OMI to burn. It is more time to acquire. So is it great news? No. But listen to the rest of this news, listen to the rest of these gems, because we're in a good spot. The Showroom version 2 updated article is coming out this week. So again, a lot is happening this week and next week and more weeks to come as we've gotten the major licensors out of the way. And it sounds like they have some big ones coming in December too, but an emphasis over the next couple of weeks sounds like it is getting all of these key processes done, figured out, and implemented. Now, here was one I was very excited to hear, is that we have the OMI Utility Program article coming out this week. One of the main reasons why OMI is so undervalued is because there has been no real utility tied to it yet, and this article is going to spell it out for all the people who didn't think to get in before then, and show just how big of a play OMI is going to have. And with it, hopefully we'll get some information on staking and all of the different ways that OMI will be used within the app and eventually in the Veveverse, and be a true token that is tied to the Veve app. Another question they did answer that said, OMI will be able to use on OMI to NFT, not just on drops, but also in the marketplace. So it'll be peer-to-peer. So because it's peer-to-peer, OMI will not be burnt between those transactions besides the transaction fees. So if I wanted to buy a Donnie, I don't have to send you, $100,000. I could send you however million of OMI. And that's, again, just more utility of the token. Someone asks, of course, we'll be able to put our Veve collectibles into the Veveverse, but will we be able to eventually put other NFTs in the Veveverse? And Dan said interoperability makes the most sense to him. He is excited for that. And he envisions we'll be able to put like a picture frame and bring other NFTs into your Veveverse world. But he did say that is very much down the line. So it is not an immediate item, but something to consider for the future. We've also seen that there are roughly about 90 collectibles often held back. It was originally only 40, and they touched on this, which was great because they've added 50 more that they're withholding from a lot of the collectibles, and those 50 are being withheld for giveaways and events. So they're actively making a choice to start doing more giveaways. So That's exciting. So make sure you follow them on Twitter. Make sure you stay in tune to see what they're going to be giving away and when. They also mentioned that those other 50 are randomized mints. So while 90 are taken out, you could still get a mint 41 or 42, which would be the rarest ones of that collectible. Someone in Twitter Spaces also asked, well, why don't we just do KYC already? And Dan touched on it and said, while KYC makes a lot of sense and they will ultimately be going that way in the future, right now it doesn't because it is a barrier to entry for new users, right? So you just want to get in, download an app, create a username, and start playing with it and see if you like it first, right? If you have to set all your information up beforehand, you might just fizzle out and then have to wait and then you're like, I'm over it. So the whole point is they're waiting on KYC until the user base is substantial and they no longer have to worry about the barrier to entry because everyone's already doing it, right? So KYC will come in the future, but they're not quite there yet. We're also very much waiting for the web version, which will make it easier for us to build our showrooms versus having to do it on the app. And they did confirm that is set for January of 2022. So roughly only about 3 more months. And we've known about verticals, and this older article says 6, but Reese did mention in an AMA that there are 8. And in this AMA, David did say that there are new categories being rolled out in the next few months. Of those categories, he did specifically mention sports and music. So we've all been wondering like NFLPA and when we'll actually have soundtracks or something like that in our showroom, and it sounds like they're not far away. Nothing mentioned on anime yet, which again, I believe that won't happen until we have localization, and that will substantially shoot the user base up once people can read and see the app in their own languages outside of English. So my bet is anime and localization, probably not until 2022, maybe the end of first quarter, but that's me speculating, but we'll see. Now, I want you to listen to this piece.
So there's a lot of scalability, not just in design, engineering, but in accounting, in legal, compliance. We will be a quite sizable company in the near future.
Veve will be a sizable company in the near future. And we've seen it where they've been hiring actually recently on a couple different roles, and they keep talking about scalability now, right? They weren't as much a couple months ago, but the proof is in the pudding. They are over 1 million users in 1 year. They've done what most other companies can't do, and now they need to scale rapidly and continue to grow at this pace. And this kind of growth rate and saying that they're going to be a sizable company in the near future is substantial. They're literally laying it out for you that this is a smart investment, obviously not financial advice. And real quick, David did mention Pokemon. I think it was as like a, hey, don't assume that we're going to be saying this or something like that, but he did reference Pokemon.
But I don't want you guys to go out and start mapping out what day is happening or what in every type of property out there, or when Pokemon's going to change their clothing or introduce another character.
And a really, really smart question asked by Ian from Essentially Crypto, shout out Ian, about buybacks. And they did say buybacks are happening without us realizing it, because basically they need to replenish OMI funds occasionally, and they do the buybacks, so they're happening, but they're not done in massive form. So I don't believe the buybacks will be a big thing. They're just happening continuously. However, they dropped an incredible gem following that question. They said they're looking for third-party apps and other projects over a couple months to form partnerships that can also use OMI in their projects. Does that not sound like OMI is building out its own ecosystem? So an NFT project could actually sprout up and then they could use OMI. Or maybe OMI could be a pairing. Who knows what they meant by that, but they're actively looking at other projects and partners to use OMI. That will substantially help diminish the circulating supply, bring even more awareness to Ecomi and Veve. And what immediately hit my brain was I thought about how in OpenSea you can buy some NFTs with both Ethereum or Matic. What if, and this is speculative, but what if they work out something with Immutable X We know that they're one of the premier projects on Immutable X where maybe you could buy NFTs, not just in Veve with OMI, but maybe you could buy like a Moody Crow or something else on the Immutable X ecosystem with OMI. They even encouraged more real-life utility where business owners could actually offer discounts if you paid in OMI, and that they've actively been approached, asked by many people if they could do this. The fact they're looking at partnering in other projects with using their currency as well as real-life utility, real business owners to grant more utility to the token this early is insane. That little snowball rolling down the hill is consistently growing bigger and bigger. Another person did ask about Ron English and if there will be a final last figurine. And they did touch on the last breakfast scene where we can see in this one, and sorry, my head is in the way, but we have seen every single collectible in 2 of the sets beside the guy who is covered by my head, which is the frog guy, the Trix rabbit, the crazy Siamese Rice Krispies dude, and this guy who I think is known as Christ or Christ. And so we will see a 3rd drop of serial killers from Ron English, and most likely we will see a final piece where maybe you have to have all 3 sets where you need this scene. If you don't hold a Ron English serial killer set, I probably would get on that. Also, if you call my AMA from Decon, we actually showed the Ron English Monopoly guy, which is coming, and I took a picture and showed you, but shout out to Jess for actually taking a video of what we saw on the loop. He's animated. So this really cool guy will be coming to the app eventually. We don't know when, but from Ron English. Someone also asked about a digital arcade that could be in our showrooms or in the Veveverse where you spend OMI, or some kind of claw machine where it drops down, you can get Myrmicornos or something like that. And Dan didn't confirm it, but he did start by saying he's surprised by how on the money we are as fans. So it sounds like something like this will eventually be coming, where we'll actually have some gamification and be able to use our OMI in some kind of arcade format, which Atari actually is building a virtual arcade in Decentraland. I don't know if it finished, but we can see that there is success in already thinking behind this in other metaverses. I thought this was a great question, but someone pointed out that there are 55 brands currently on the app, and we have seen that they had over 100 months and months ago. He asked if it's fair to add a 0 to that, and Dan said, well, not quite like 1,000, but he would say we now have over hundreds. So that line, that queue of licensors just keeps getting longer because they are gaining more interest than content they can put out. After Marvel dropped, after Disney dropped, more and more are getting into it, and they realize going with Veve over other crypto platforms is just so much easier in a very lucrative way for them to spread their brand. They also touched on bots, which we have seen more content around on Twitter, people bringing awareness to the bots. We hate these cheaters, of course. And we've already reiterated many times that bots exist in Nike and Apple and in concert tickets. They are impossible to get rid of forever, unfortunately, but Veve and Ecomi have implemented multiple levels of bot prevention with the top companies who work with companies that are 100 times the size of Ecomi and Veve and are paying tens of thousands of dollars a month just to take care of these bots. And you can see large companies have to continue to spend a lot of money on DDoS attacks as well as other bots in their apps and platforms. So this is going to be something that is just a part of their profit and loss statement, because as they scale, they're just going to have to keep putting more money to make sure they can keep handling bots, and will. I then actually brought up the question around taxes since I live in the US, and as you can see, we get taxed very heavily and it sucks. I asked if there'd be some kind of reporting for us for this year going into next year, like a 1094, 1095. And they said no, because they'd have to implement on a global level. So it sounds like with the web platform, they will allow some historic reporting, but they didn't give a hard no or hard yes on what to do with taxes. So I'm not a tax expert. I think we'll know maybe more once MTL comes out, but this is a gray area. If you're an accountant or have some idea around NFTs and taxes and using a centralized platform like Veve, please leave a comment because we're all curious. We've noticed that one of the bond sets is still missing a collectible, which will complete that set. And so Kay did actually ask, Is this the Ito, or how much longer we're waiting for this guy? And Alex did say that this piece will be coming in the next couple weeks, as well as there's more Bond content to come. So I'm curious, as he didn't specify that it was tied directly to this movie, I'm wondering if we'll see other Bond films coming, or if it's going to be tied to the No Time to Die Bond set that we've already seen. And last but not least, there were over 2,400 people that tuned in to Twitter Spaces just for an Ecomi and Veve AMA. I have never seen that many people in a Twitter Spaces before, ever, in which there were a bunch of new users. There are now over 1 million active monthly users in an app that won't even let you cash out yet. Do you realize how massively successful that is? 1 million users that ousts most crypto metaverse giants in the space that have a fraction of that active user base. Both Ecomi and Veve separately have over 100,000 followers. There is a huge Discord, huge Telegram groups, Reddit groups, Instagram groups, Facebook groups, Clubhouse groups, TikTok. Veve is everywhere, and yet they're not even on the radar as a metaverse play yet. As Dan said in this AMA, that's on purpose. They're not buying into the hype now and are going to fizzle out with everyone else, because they're more focused on the actual product. They've been building out the Veveverse much longer than many of these others. When you're a product first company, it takes some serious time to build up to reach the masses. It happened with Apple. It happened with Tesla. And when Veve reveals the Veveverse in 2022, 1 million users won't seem as substantial anymore. Is the delay that we've been seeing with Immutable X disappointing? Yes, but only in the short term. But long term, how do you think early long-term investors of Apple and Tesla felt? How happy do you think they are now? That's how we'll be. As always, I hope you found my content valuable, and if so, please hit the like button and leave a comment down below. The likes and comments appease the algo overlords and help my channel to continue to grow. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button and notification bell for future content. That's for today. I'm Taps. Thank you for your time, man. Happy trading.